the land of the corn, Newton, Iowa, at the fastest short track on the planet with the ARCA Menards Series. It's the Shore Lunch 150, round 3 of the Sioux Chief Showdown here at Iowa Speedway. And a blazing hot day amidst these cornfields adjacent to the racetrack. The temperature feels like it's over the century mark, and the action on the racetrack will be red hot as well. Hello, everybody. I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me is Jim Trado. Dave Reef will be manning pit road for us tonight during this 150-lap race. Plenty of headlines coming into this one, Jim, and the biggest one of all is Ty Gibbs.
2 huge wins in the last 3 races at Kentucky and at Pocono. Those big tracks meant big momentum for Ty Gibbs.
After that race at Kentucky, when Ty Gibbs drove to that finish line, there was plenty of tension as well between a pair of Rookie of the Year contenders. Hailie Deegan, Drew Dollar got together, and Hailie Deegan was into the wall. She was not happy at all after that race and knocked her down in the point standings as well. But coming into this race, Michael Self, the point leader, he's got to be one of the favorites.
A lot of experience here. 2 ARCA Menards Series West wins here and 3rd last year. He wants to keep that momentum going. Another top 5 is what he has in mind today.
The guy that finished second, his best career ARCA run, was Brett Holmes at Kentucky, knocking on the door to his first victory. Could it come here today? Earlier today, Brett Holmes caught up with the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Dave Reef.
And it is the calm before the storm for Brett Holmes. The smartest place we could catch up before the race, here in the hauler, taking in some air conditioning. Sure, it's going to be hot on pit road, but not nearly as hot as it's going to be in your race car tonight. How are you going to handle that heat?
It's tough, man. We try to stay as cool as we can before the race and stay hydrated, and this is what we train for through the week, is to take this heat and just keeping your pace up and your nerves calm, and that's the only way to get through it.
Yet you want to stay hot like you've been lately on the racetrack. A good second at Kentucky. It's been a great year.
Yeah, definitely. We've had a lot of consistent finishes so far this last few stretch of races. We definitely want to keep that up and get some wins along the way. We've really been on the cusp of doing something great with our team and really getting over that hurdle. We're competing against some really good guys and with our small team, and this championship race is getting a little close. We're second in points now. We've made up a lot, and I'm ready for the next few.
We know the guys have been working hard. There's proof of that. Shots coming to you 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock at night. Consistency, though. How long is this consistency thing without winning going to be okay?
Well, I mean, we've already been a little tired of it. You know what I mean? We're after the race at Kentucky, we finished second, and nobody in our team. We got on the plane ride home, and everybody looked down, everybody looked sad, and I was like, hey guys, I know this sucks. I know we almost had it, but we're right there. We're almost got it. We just got to keep working hard, and that's what we keep doing through the week. And my team has been just working a lot of late hours too to make sure we get there and make sure we get that win soon.
And trust me, when that mask comes off, the helmet goes on, there's a race face behind you. Hey, why not Iowa? Why not tonight? That man rolls off 6th off the grid.
Dave, every driver wants to win, and why not here at Iowa tonight? This place is simply fast. A 7/8 of a mile racetrack with high banking in the corner. Let's get things kick-started with the most famous words in racing.
Good evening. I'm Brad Olson, Vice President of Marketing for Southeastern Mills, the parent company for great food brands like Better Than Bouillon, Louisiana Hot Sauce, and tonight's title sponsor, Shore Lunch. Welcome to Iowa Speedway for the ARCA Menards Series Shore Lunch 150. We realize these are unprecedented times, and as part of all of our efforts to bring normalcy back to all Americans, we're proud to sponsor tonight's race and bring it to you live on MAV TV. On behalf of Series title sponsor and our retail partner, Menards, and from all of us at Southeastern Mills, we invite you to sit back and enjoy the race. Drivers, start your engines.
The ARCA Menards Series cars come to life at Iowa Speedway, parked on pit road, lined up by Sioux Chief Showdown point standings coming into this race. They did have a practice session earlier today. We'll talk about all that and a whole lot more. Chandler Smith, last year's winner of this race, will lead the field to the green flag when we come back to Iowa Speedway. Iowa Speedway is the site for the 7th race of the year for the ARCA Menards Series with the Shore Lunch 150. 13 total races for the ARCA Series here. Chandler Smith won 1 year ago, and tonight he's on the pole by virtue of qualifying set by the Sioux Chiefs Showdown owners points.
Chandler Smith used to qualifying up front. However, this is on points, and Chandler has a fast car, and he has a really good run here. Last year, dominated this race at Iowa Speedway. Without that qualifying, that team was given the #1 position. He is officially the General Tire pole winner for this evening.
So Chandler Smith will lead the field to the green flag. Here's how the field looks coming into this one. The young gun, Taylor Gray, another teenager on the outside of the front row.
Michael Self, the point leader, and Haley Deegan again. They're in row 2. Both have experience here. Haley ran in the ARCA West Series last year. She worked on little things in practice, she told me, not big things.
The dominator of 2 of the last 3 races, Ty Gibbs, sits 5th on the starting grid. Brett Holmes finished 2nd to Ty Gibbs 1 week ago.
Sam Mayer's run really well in the ARCA Menards Series, yet to win, but last year he led all but 8 laps in a 150-lap ARCA East race at Iowa Speedway.
Keep your eye on this guy. Nobody has won more USAC Silver Crown races than Cody Swanson, the open wheel star, trying his hand at ARCA Menards Series racing for Chad Bryant Racing. Drew Dollar on the outside.
Looking back at row 7, Max McLaughlin was 2nd fastest in speeds, but he said, man, I need long distance speed. That team did a lot of changes to Mike Ricci in a big huddle after practice today.
I'm looking at the guy that's starting 15th tonight, Giovanni Selzy. Gio could be strong with that Bill McAnally team here tonight. Gio, winner of World of Outlaws, All-Star Sprints, and also a USAC National Midget race just 1 year ago.
ARCA Menards Series West point leader Jesse Love at just 15 years of age. 2 wins and 4 starts in that series. He's back with the ARCA Menards Series for the 2nd time this year in the number 19 in row number 9.
Good starting field here today. There is Jesse Love. Jesse Love will carry one of our onboard cameras, the General Tire onboard. The driver for Bill McAnally Racing, Jesse Love from the West Coast, is really making a name for himself already in 2020. We'll be talking a lot about him during this broadcast. Brett Holmes carries our other onboard camera with Sioux Chief for that onboard camera. Brett Holmes is a guy that we think is very close, as Dave Reef talked to him just moments ago, of getting to victory lane. He's knocked on the door so many times. His 2nd place run is his best. He's got a pair of 3rd place runs as well. With Shane Huffman as his crew chief, his team is getting so close.
Tied for 2nd in points. Brett Holmes is definitely there. He had the speed last year at Iowa Speedway as well.
So all week, I've been wanting to know, what are Jim Trado's keys to this race?
Quickly, aggressive on restarts. This start's important. Get position now because this track is not as wide as you think it is at the outset. Also, taking those 4 tires, we got 2 chances to take on 2 sets of General Tires in the pit area.
We are racing at Iowa Speedway with the ARCA Menards Series. Chandler Smith with the lead. Michael Self has popped into 2nd already in that Sinclair number 25. So the Venturini Motorsports cars 1 and 2 early in this race.
I heard us a lot talk about the ARCA Menards Series West, the ARCA Menards Series East. Well, these 2 drivers have had some experience in both. Ty Gibbs has raced in the ARCA Menards Series West and has really run well here. They have had a combination race here, has those 2 series since 2007. Well, this is the first time and the only time we'll see this racetrack under the ARCA Menards Series platform. So these teams are getting at it right here, and it doesn't look like there's a whole lot of grip right now in the racetrack, Bob.
Speaking of getting after it, everyone getting after that 17 of Taylor Gray. He was up in the 3rd groove at one point and really was wiggling around this 7/8 of a mile racetrack. Taylor Gray, what a performance for that driver, though, a couple of weeks ago in his first ARCA start with the ARCA Menards Series at Lucas Oil Raceway.
And Taylor really put on a show, and when the show really, when the light shone the brightest is at the end of a segment of the race. So for him to run as well as he did in his very first start at that racetrack that has some similarities here with the widening flat racetrack, although it'd be a big 5 ace there, he had a really, really strong run. And I want to say, Taylor Gray will be a factor in this race. You just have to figure out how to get better than 4th like you did at Lucas Oil Raceway by getting those laps built in here, these 3 50-lap runs.
I just can't believe watching these cars just wash up the racetrack and then try to get a hold of that wheel when the wheel actually bites and they start turning in the corner. The 17 of Taylor Gray, Brett Holmes has done that, Haley Deegan as well. So many of these drivers struggling with grip. Remember, they had a practice session earlier, but no qualifying today.
And really, the practice sessions, I mean, some teams got 25 to 30 laps. Others went a few more laps, a few less. But those are in 10 or 15 lap runs. This is the first time we're actually around other cars for extended amount of time and under green flag conditions until now. We've seen who had it right at the outset. That's 69 Scott Melton spinning the number 69 Melton McFadden Insurance Agency Ford.
Scott Melton brings out the first caution of the race 5 laps into this 150-lap race. So we slow down and we'll bottle up this field once again for a restart. Plenty of time to go, but Ty Gibbs is already on the charge, tracking down Chandler Smith in a battle for the lead here at Iowa Speedway.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by General Tire, anywhere is possible. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. And by Menards, save big money at Menards.
8 laps in, and we're ready to get back to racing with the ARCA Menards series at Iowa Speedway. Chandler Smith has set the pace so far. Ty Gibbs to his outside in that Monster Energy number 18. And right there lurking in third is a guy that has won here on a couple of different occasions, Michael Self in the 25.
And a little bit of gamesmanship here. Chandler took the lead, went right to the top side. Well, guess what? He had a choice of lane, the number 20 JBL Toyota. He took the bottom on this restart, Bob. We'll see if that plays to his advantage to try to keep Ty Gibbs at bay in the turn 1.
Maybe trying to learn some things early in this race. On the gas and green here at Iowa. Turn 1 is going to be very interesting. Michael Self thought about going 3 wide and then thought better of it. Haley Deegan with a big run on the outside, trying to move up into third. She does. The Monster Energy cars looking strong. 2 and 3. Challenge for the lead. Here goes Ty Gibbs. Battle of the ages here. Teenagers, if you will, at Iowa Speedway. And Ty Gibbs looking strong once again.
17-year-old Ty Gibbs, 2 wins on the season. Chandler Smith, the first 2 Sioux Chief Showdown races, he went to victory lane for those in the number 20. These are the short track combatants we're going to see all year long, racing up for big money in the Sioux Chief Showdown here.
1 practice today. Ty Gibbs was the quickest in that practice session. Dave Reef, what can you tell us?
Well, if there was some scanner traffic going on during that brief yellow, it was with the 20 team. It was all about what's going on with the 18. These have become the predominantly dominant teams in this series right now. So they were trying to pay attention to where Gibbs is better, and they know all the places on the racetrack. So maybe that's why Chandler Smith picked the line that he did on this restart. They know that that 18 is running strong.
Everybody fears the 18 right now, quite honestly. That's how red hot he's been. Look at this battle a little bit further back in the field. Drew Dollar trying to march his way up. He is now in the top 10, but he is battling right there with Taylor Crane. Just in front of that is Brett Holmes in the 23.
We had a 1-hour practice followed by a 1-hour IndyCar Series practice, and the crew chief on that silver 15, Shannon Rush, told me after practice, as there were knee-deep, ankles-deep, elbows flying out of the car, he said, "What are you changing?" Everything was his only word. Everything. They're changing that car to get it better handling for Drew Dollar in that number 15.
They were not happy with the car in practice today, but that's another little twist and turn here at Iowa Speedway today. We had a practice session for the Indy cars prior to this. After that practice session, as you mentioned, for the ARCA Menards series. Different rubber for both series. Does that change things for these crew chiefs and drivers?
Bob, it has to. With as hot as this place is, and I watched the racing line of the Indy cars. I first looked up and saw Gio Scelzi and his 4-time NHRA champ dad Gary Scelzi watching IndyCar practice. I took a gander as well, and as I'm watching these racing lines they're racing right now, this is the IndyCar line. The IndyCars don't hug the bottom line like many of these teams did in practice. So as we work through that, the rubber should be peeled off by now. It should have worked its way out by just running over that same rubber, running those lines, and getting now the General Tire rubber onto the 7/8 mile asphalt.
Well, you see several of these drivers trying different lines in the corners. Some way down the bottom, some about a third or maybe 2/3 up the racetrack, just trying to find out which groove works best for the handling characteristics of their cars. This is a short track, but it races more like a super speedway. Michael Self in third. Take a look at that Sinclair car. He is holding on right now, actually inside the top 5. He's actually 4th. We've lost our scoring here, but here comes Sam Mayer to the inside. Mayer out of Wisconsin trying to move up to 4th and go by the point leader of the ARCA Menards series, but tight-quartered racing down at turn number 1.
3 wide racing, thankfully, as Sam Mayer had room there. He wasn't picked by Michael Self. Self gave him room, and Self knew that the high line off for turn number 2 might have been advantageous, and Mayer has to fall back in line. Marty Lindley, the crew chief with Sam Mayer, they did a lot of changes as well through practice and after practice to get that 21 QPS Employment Group Chevrolet working better. Nice run to the front by Sam.
Dave Reef, we've been talking about the lines these competitors are running around this racetrack. What can you tell us?
Well, for most people, they were talking about making sure they got a good run off of 3 and 4 and making the long run down that tri-oval into the front in that first turn. The key for them, though, it's the longest flat-out part of this racetrack. They've got to carry that speed into turn 1. And Jim, as we talked to a few drivers, it seems like it's the guy or gal in this case that can get that car a little bit deeper than everybody else that's going to be able to hold that line in turn 1.
Max McLaughlin in that number 1. Good run for him at Lucas Oil Raceway, his first career ARCA Menards Series top 10 in his first race. But there's the 22, Cody Swanson. Open wheel guy, knows a lot about open wheel racing, especially on the pavement. He goes by Max McLaughlin. That is a battle for 10th. So move Cody Swanson up to 10th right now here in the early stages, just about 20 laps into this 150-lap affair.
Cody has only had the 1 hour practice today. He had 28 laps. That's it in a stock car for the 5-time USAC Silver Crown champ, Max McLaughlin. He was in a white car when he raced at this Lucas Oil Raceway, and I said, what's the big difference? He said, this black car, something about it. I love it. I think I've raced it 5 or 6 times, no worse than 4th place in a finish. Max has found speed in the black number 1 for Hattori Racing.
In the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, we always have something from James Essex. He says, here comes Pierce. Well, today, here comes Holmes. Holmes is hungry. The driver of 23 trying to move by the 21 of Sam Mayer. And you talk about 2 hungry drivers. Brett Holmes has been around this series for a while. Sam Mayer, only a couple of years. Both of those drivers still looking for their first career ARCA Menards Series victories.
And one thing they have in common is tireless efforts by their crew chiefs. Marty Lindley on the 21. He's worked with a number of drivers. He's been there 8 or 9 times as the crew chief now for Sam Mayer for the 2nd consecutive season in the ARCA Menards Series. Wherever Sam goes, he goes at GMS Racing, including the Truck Series later this year. The 23 Brett Holmes, his crew chief is Shane Huffman. Those guys were teammates at one time under the MDM manager just a few years ago. But Shane Huffman and his team, those 4 of the guys that came with him, the number 23 effort for Holmes, they are proving they are tireless workers. They were under that hood of that race car. Shane himself was changing rear end gears right as I came to the booth. So these guys were working hard at the last moment to get that car fast.
Battle for 11th heating up, and now a battle for 2nd heating up on the racetrack as well. Here comes Haley Deegan.
Haley might have got into the 20 car for a moment there.
Deegan gets by Chandler Smith 23 laps into this race. And look who's back there as well, lurking, the 25 of Michael Self. Very smooth is Michael Self with his throttle pedal around the 7/8 of a mile racetrack.
And Chandler Smith knows how good of a car he had here last year. He was not super happy in practice today. He said, I need a little more bite and more drive off the corner. So he and his crew chief will eventually work on that fine point. It's not working right now. You can see that car is still skating up the racetrack. And Self now has to go low to get around who had been our race leader from the pole at the start of this one.
Michael Self says that Iowa Speedway is one of his favorite racetracks. He traditionally, sideways a little bit for Michael Self. He went to the bottom there. That bottom groove did not work for Michael Self.
As much as the cars were down there in practice, Bob, I've not seen a lot of racing laps under this green flag run on the bottom. So Self went down there and there was no traction for him a moment ago.
25 laps now complete. That's halfway until we get to our first race break. We will see race breaks today at lap 50 and lap 100. Sam Mayer now moving to the inside. Mayer, this is a battle for 4th with Michael Self.
Mayer's changing his line as well. Good to see how that driver can adjust, because Mayer again only ran 10 or 11 races last year. He's now run the Sioux Chief Showdown with us this year, racing after the full East schedule. The 21 driver determined now to get to the bottom of Michael Self here in this run. To get halfway through this one, they're already planning ahead. What's going to be at the end of this 150 lapper? How good is our car going to be? Where can we put it? Because they get 2 tries with 2 breaks to get fresh tires underneath these cars.
Sam Mayer is so patient behind the wheel. We were talking to his spotter, Lauren Rainier, as we came up the elevator here to the booth at Iowa Speedway. And they didn't feel like they had a great race car after practice, so Marty Lindley and that team went to work.
Oh yeah, big time work by those guys. And Marty just said, we're not done yet. He was still thinking of ways to get that car fast. And Marty also said, in the times he's been here, in the ARCA East and West Challenge, in the ARCA Menards Series races here, we've always raced at night. So this is really giving a lot of crew chiefs a handful because their notes aren't as valuable because we're racing in the heat of the sun just 3 hours after practice. And this is a grippy racetrack, but not when it's bright sunshine for hours upon hours. There's a lot of sliding going on still.
Approaching 30 laps into this race. And Michael Self, that car is just wiggling. He's on the edge, honestly, whether he goes to the bottom. You see Sam Mayer got up to his left rear there and just kind of pushed the air to unsettle the 25. And that might be what Sam Mayer needs to take over fourth. Indeed it is.
Oh, and he had a handful just trying to get past him. When he got the word clear from his spotter, Lauren Rainier, what did he do? Moved up in front of that 25. Spotter Britt Anderson had his hands full himself saying, clear, wait a minute, he's coming back to you. Because he almost got into the backside of the 21 as he slid up in front of our point leader in the 25, Michael Self.
Self looked good about 10 laps ago, but I think that charge that he tried to attempt maybe hurt the handling on that race car, maybe hurt the tires a little bit, who knows, because he's starting to fall back into the clutches now of Brett Holmes. Brett Holmes in 6th, he wants 5th. And Michael Self just trying to hold on for dear life right now in the opening stages of this race.
Michael Self and his crew chief Kevin Reed, about 20 minutes left in practice today, made a big difference. And I heard Michael Self, like I've not heard him say before, man, that was a major swing. We can't go that far. So they were willing to test what they could allow on this race car. They brought some of that back out, but that change they thought was in the right direction. Might be going in the wrong direction right now as Brett Holmes is challenging to the inside of that blue and white Holmes 2 Construction Chevrolet.
Oh boy, interesting development. Yellow flag is out. Drew Dollar is stopped on the racetrack. One of the championship contenders and rookie contenders. Wow, bad break right past the start-finish line for Drew Dollar. Driver for Venturini Motorsports stopped on the racetrack to bring out another caution in the short lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway. We'll be right back. Under the second caution of the short lunch 150 for the ARCA Menards series, round 3 of the Sioux Chiefs Showdown. Ty Gibbs leads Drew Dollar with some problems. He stopped on the racetrack. Unfortunate for him, battling for a championship this year here in the ARCA series.
Was tied for second in the overall points with Brett Holmes heading into this one. Winner at Talladega this year really had a strong thought about pairing up with Shannon Rush. Again, those guys went to work on this car. They had it in pieces. It was on jack stands like it was at the chop shop on a Monday. They were tearing that thing apart to get it back together. Unfortunately, something mechanically wrong there for Drew Dollar. Big blow for him. He's had 3 problems in our 3 Sioux Chiefs Showdown races this season. The only blemishes and a very impressive run for Rookie of the Year, the Voluntary Rookie Challenge as well.
It's Ty Gibbs over Haley Deegan. The monster cars very strong today at Iowa Speedway. Chandler Smith currently runs in the 3rd spot, and the 4th place car is Sam Mayer. Sam has been so good. Started racing, honestly, pretty late. A Legends car racer, developed into a late model racer, and now in the heavy stock car wars. He's been so good, but yet he's come so close without winning in the ARCA Menards series. Let's take a look at Sam Mayer, the kid out of Wisconsin. 2 second-place efforts for him in his ARCA Menards series career. He's finished 3rd, 4th, 5th, everywhere in the top 5 without that victory.
And it's come close. It's come to turn 3 on the final lap last year, racing against Ty Gibbs. Seems like his nemesis, but when it came to the ARCA Menards Series East last year, he put it on him. And this year, starting out with a West and East Series victory at their first races at Las Vegas Bullring and at New Smyrna Speedway in Florida.
Nobody was stronger in the East Series and the West Series even this year than this driver, Sam Mayer. 4 wins to his credit 1 year ago, the championship in the ARCA Menards Series East. And we know, honestly, with how talented this kid is, he will be climbing out of that race car victorious after a big ARCA Menards Series win very soon. It could come here today.
He did it 1 year ago here, Bob. It was a 150-lap race. The crowd talked to Crew Chief Marty Lindley about that. Their team is here today with this young driver. They led 142 of 150 laps with just 1 break in the middle and they got 4 tires then. Now we get a chance to throw 2 sets of General Tires at it. So Sam Mayer in this progression, he might not have shown everything just yet. He's in a good position restarting in 3rd. But if Sam gets a jump here, aggressive restarts is something he's been working on. He got pinched at Kentucky Speedway, but I want to tell you, if he gets up on the wheel here and runs with Ty Gibbs, this is a whole new end of the race here at lap 38 on this restart.
And that win for Sam Mayer last year here at Iowa Speedway was in the East Series. So right now, Haley Deegan, she'll line up on the inside of the front row. Ty Gibbs choosing the outside for this restart.
Great move by him. I mean, he was put out there because Chandler Smith had the lead on the only other caution earlier in the race. Was able to hold his own there. I'm going to say Ty Gibbs thinks he has something here for Haley Deegan. Let's see how Haley can do here. She's finished 2nd this year at Daytona. She's finished 3rd at Lucas Oil Raceway. Let's see how she can grab the lead perhaps for the first time in 2020. And lead lap.
Green flag is back out. Ty Gibbs back to the front. Haley Deegan in 2nd, still looking to lead her first laps of ARCA Menards Series competition. Nice view there. A little bit further back, riding on board with Jesse Love. Gio Scelzi alongside the teammates battling for 9th.
Max McLaughlin right there with him in the number 1 Toyota. He came down pit road to make an adjustment. Ooh, he almost had a big nose adjustment there. But got cleaned off by Scelzi moving up the racetrack.
Spotter said, "You're clear, you're clear." He wasn't quite clear. Now McLaughlin back to the bottom. The General Tire onboard camera for Jesse Love. This kid is just so good. An open wheel star from the West Coast of America. Was really good there. Got some opportunities in late models and now in stock cars. 4 races in the ARCA Menards Series West. And guess what? He's won 2 of them, and the other 2, he's finished 2nd in both of them.
Awesome rides in the National Midget League for the Power Eye Series. He's also run the Madeira Series where the youngsters get to race junior late models there. He's done really well there. And for him to get picked up at the age of 13 by Toyota, and now he's all of 15, man, he's got a bright future ahead of him.
Toyota's top prospect right now is dropping back a little bit. Chandler Smith just lost 2 positions, 1 to Brett Holmes. So Holmes now moves up to 4th. And Michael Self, his teammate at Venturini Motorsports, he drops the 20 back another position. So now Chandler Smith, last year's winner here at Iowa, outside the top 5.
You can tell how he entered that corner, Bob. He gave the position to Self, and he went to the bottom saying, is there anything down here that can make this car turn and drive off the corner? Smith is struggling. We have not said that a lot in his 3 years here in this series.
You talked up Cody Swanson all week. Ty Gibbs, he's leading this race, but the 22 of Cody Swanson is right behind Chandler Smith right now. Swanson up to 7th and charging hard in the early stages of this race.
Getting word from Dave Reef on pit road, the team thinks a tire issue. They have a deflating left rear on the 20 for Chandler Smith, so keep an eye on that as he's trying to lip it home here. Again, we have planned breaks in this race. Lap 50 or at or around. Lap 100 at or around. Chandler Smith can't wait for these last 7 laps to run on this first chunk of the race to get in the pit road as he's losing more ground here on the bottom line.
I was watching Swanson just behind him. Swanson pulled right up to the back bumper of the 20, but then really high in the corner. Was trying a different line. Didn't work for him there. Taylor Gray now trying to march to the bottom of the 22, but Cody Swanson, he's just so good. 32 years old, 3-time winner of the Little 500.
Including last year. That's 500 laps on a quarter-mile racetrack with 32 other sprint cars on the racetrack. You've got to take that in. If you've not been to Anderson Speedway, usually run the night before the Indy 500. It's an amazing spectacle, and Tony has mastered that. He's also a 4-time winner at the Indiana State Fairgrounds on the old 1-mile dirt track that went dark last year. He only got to win it 4 times in a row, adding his name to it. Al Unser Jr. and other stars of the sport. It's this first chance at a stock car for Cody Swanson he's been looking forward to for a number of years now.
Challenge for 2nd. Sam Mayer pushing it hard right now. You see him really on the gas off the corner, and his car was floating up the racetrack, trying to close in on Haley Deegan, who's doing a good job right now, just riding in 2nd.
I'll say it again. This is 45 laps to a run of 50. We get another break on lap 100, and that means there's only 50 laps left in the race. So this is really helping the crew chiefs. They're getting up on the wheel, trying to figure out what's left in these cars. What did they save early? Or it could be the last 5 laps of the race after their 2nd run here.
I think that's the key thing right now, too. With just a few laps to go before we get to the first race break. Pushing. And I'm sure the crew chiefs are telling these drivers, hey, let's go for it to see what we got here so we can maybe make some change to the car during the race break.
So So Haley Deegan restarted in the second spot, Bob. She's drifted back a bit now, 2.6 seconds behind Ty Gibbs. That's how good Ty Gibbs is here, but she's in her hands full. This is going to be a chance for these crew chiefs to make the changes, make the moves, what they need to do. They know they can get 4 General Tires on this first break at lap 50, and another set of 4 awaiting them if they want to put them on then at the lap 100 break.
There's Swanson. Swanson trying to go to the outside. There's not much room right there on the outside of Chandler Smith. They go 3 wide coming off the corner. Swanson's going to be interesting. It seems he's learning with each lap he takes here in an ARCA Star car.
And you know, I talked to him with Dave Reef right after practice, try to get a lowdown, get a gauge on what he was thinking. He said, hey, I run 100 laps races in my Silvercrown car all the time. We only get 1 set of tires. That big fuel in the back and how that changes the load and the handling of the car. I said, I can run 50 laps. I just don't know how about these big, heavy race cars. I've not had any laps in them until today. So that number 22 driver with Paul Andrews and the owner, Chad Bryant, they put together a solid piece, but Cody is really showing something here. He can hang with them. Chandler Smith is also given credit. Look at that. He's loose again on the corner. He has not lost a spot on the racetrack. Chandler Smith is still 6th.
He is looking forward to this first race break, and that should come here at the completion of lap 50. We should see a yellow flag shortly here at Iowa Speedway. Chandler's just holding on right now. Put it bluntly, he's just hanging on to that race car. They know they need to make some changes to get him dialed in. He's very good here. Finished second 2 years ago and won the race last year.
Chandler's now giving a wave out the window as all the other competitors have heard over their radios. The caution flag is out. This is the at or lap 50 break in the action as Ty Gibbs rolls to the lead and through the caution on purpose. Our 3rd caution of the day.
So yellow flag flies for the first race break in the Shore Lunch 150. Dave Reef, what happened to Drew Dollar?
Well, let's find out from the man himself. A quick check at the infield care center. He's okay, but not the day that you planned. What happened specifically out on the track?
Yeah, we blew a motor out there. You know, that's never happened to me. I've driven race cars for 4 years and never lost a motor, so that's a first, and that's really disappointing. Just had a fast race car, had a little bit of an issue in practice, but we got it fixed for the race, and I felt like we were going to have something for him there. Fired off really good. Felt a little bit loose, but you know, it's just overall just really disappointing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Disappointment written all over Drew Dollar's face. A bad break for the Talladega winner of the ARCA Menards Series. Next, we're coming up with more racing here in Iowa. First race break in the ARCA Menards Series Shore Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway. All the cars now on pit road, changing tires, making adjustments to their machine. Ty Gibbs dominating the opening stages of this race once he worked by Chandler Smith. There's Chandler Smith, who had a handful near the lap 50 mark.
Yeah, that crew member's working on something with the suspension, perhaps a spring rubber putting in or taking out on the right front to get Smith that handling he wants off the corner. Haley Deegan raced her way up to 2nd before the break. You can change 4 tires and add fuel, but not at the same time during these breaks.
This is round 3 of the Sioux Chief Showdown. Let's take a look at the opening 2 rounds. It came down to a finish. A green-white checker. Chandler Smith winning the opening event in the Valley of the Sun. Trouble for Ty Gibbs. Unfortunate circumstances for him at LOR led to another victory for Chandler Smith, and he leads the Sioux Chief Showdown point standings coming into this race here in Iowa.
Haley Deegan and Michael Self tied for 2nd. You know, these short track races are meaningful as we go along. This championship pays out over $900,000 in contingency awards and cash. So there's a lot on the line for this Sioux Chief Showdown within the series.
The 23 of Brett Holmes, by the way, just prior to the race break, moved up into 3rd. He went by the 21 of Sam Mayer. There is Brian Deegan and Marisa. They are the parents of Haley Deegan. Haley running in 2nd right now. But Dave Reef, I tell you what, Jim Trado was just talking about the fact that these teams have their choice of what they want to do on pit road today, but they have 8 tires in the pit stall. What can you tell us in terms of strategy?
Well, in terms of strategy, every crew chief said it's silly to not change tires. With everybody having 2 sets or 8 tires down here, there's no reason not to. This is a rough racetrack. For some reason, the general tire from lap 1 to lap 50 definitely went down in lap times. And in the terms of Chandler Smith, this is the one that just came off the left front. You can definitely see some cutting around the edge, definitely a little more smoother on the inside. So this was the tire that was causing Chandler Smith problems. But as each one of these crew chiefs, especially the Venturini, the Gibbs, those kinds of cars, they realize what's going on here today. It's a 3-period hockey game, and this is only the start of the second, so expect Chandler Smith to be much, much better.
Hockey, not just hockey, it's a hockey game. 3 periods.
Ty Gibbs, dominant so far, just like he has in many races so far this year. The last 4 times he's been in a race car, he's actually won 3 of them. The only time he had trouble at LOR. He has been the man in the ARCA Menards series lately. We'll see if he can win today at Iowa. Welcome back to Iowa Speedway for the Shore Lunch 150 for the ARCA Menards series. The first race break now complete. We're ready to get back to racing. Green flag racing here in Newton, Iowa. Let's take a look at the Geico race information for this race. 150 laps. We'll have 2 race breaks. We just had our first. Another one will be coming near the lap 100 mark. This is the 14th race. Can you believe that for the ARCA Menards series here at this racetrack?
It's wonderful to know that the Clement brothers and a bunch of industry people from around the area, so we're building a racetrack. If you know the name Clement, you know that Frank Kimmel won a bunch of championships with Larry Clement. Well, he and his brothers got involved here with the local businesses and built this palace with Rusty Wallace's input. A great racetrack. Indy cars here. Holy cow, are they fast? And we're on their weekend hanging out with you on MAV TV live at Iowa Speedway.
Jesse Love, one of the big movers and shakers in this race. He moves from 17th all the way up into the top 10. Currently rides 9th coming into this restart.
He was one of the last cars to leave pit road. Again, you have to leave within a certain amount of time. That team had an issue with the battery cable shorting out during practice. He lost about 30 minutes of practice. So Kyle Wallace, like the crew chief, told me, we got everything fixed, but we melted the MSD box. So I'm sure they wanted to check that out to make sure it was all good. They get him his spot back for this restart.
Here's the restart. The 22 of Cody Swanson just in front of him. Thad Moffitt in that 46, the grandson of Richard Petty, back to green at Iowa Speedway. Three wide. Brett Holmes found himself in a spot that he didn't want to be in, so he backed out, and that allowed both Michael Self and Chandler Smith to move on by. Haley Deegan tried to go to the bottom to get to the inside of her Monster Energy compadre here, Ty Gibbs. Just behind that, Sam Mayer rides 3rd in the 21.
Got to get aggressive on these restarts, Bob. Michael Self went to the bottom, thought he had something, perhaps even made an adjustment. They were one of the last cars to leave pit road. That fastly went away as he went up the racetrack and lost his spot here in that green and white number 25. Battle in front of him, though, here.
There might have been a little contact there between Haley Deegan and Sam Mayer. Haley's been impressive. This is a short track, but it runs like a super speedway. Taylor Gray, first time here at Iowa Speedway, moves to the outside, picks up a spot. Taylor Gray moves by the 23 of Brett Holmes, so maybe early in the run, those changes that Shane Huffman did, not to the liking of Brett Holmes.
Brett is really getting responsive with Shane. Shane has actually made him a better feedback driver. Give me some more information so I can make that car better. It's working with this team in their second season together. Crew chief Shane Huffman, the driver. Brett Holmes hanging in the middle here in the 23.
Since we went back racing, Holmes has dropped from 3rd to 7th, and he's in jeopardy of moving back a couple of more spots here as well. Max McLaughlin, the son of Mike McLaughlin, a winner on the NASCAR National Circuit, modified hotshot from the Northeast for so long. You could tell that Max has learned a lot from his dad, Mike. They work together on his driving and his progression in racing from, the outlaw carts at Millbridge Speedway to the big block modifieds of the Northeast, and now here to the ARCA Series. The driver, the number 1, looking good here today.
What says something about Max's talent is he's getting noticed. He's racing with the Henke Baldwin racing guys in big block modifieds, but Brett Hearn, retired. He's in the 20 car now on the Northeast, tearing it up in the big block. So Max McLaughlin certainly getting a lot of attention in stock car racing and in big block modifieds on the dirt in the Northeast.
They must have made some changes to that 20 car because Chandler Smith looks a lot better early in this run than he did late in the run prior to the race break. Now challenging the 25 of Michael Self in a battle for 4th.
The cars are pitted next to each other today. I didn't see a whole lot of sharing, though. I saw Kevin Reed, the crew chief, coming over and talking to Billy a few times. They set these cars up nearly identical at Venturini Motorsports in their shop in Concord, North Carolina, before they get in the hauler and they get here. But it's up to the drivers and teams to make those changes. And Kevin Reed was a crew chief for Christian Eckes last year. Michael Self finished third in this race a year ago. His crew chief then was Shannon Rush, who's now paired with Drew Dollar, who had that motor issue, is now the third Venturini teammate. But unfortunately, he's also the last car on the running order. Drew Dollar out of this race after that motor popped.
Dave Reef, we just mentioned there must have been wholesale changes on the 20 car during that race break. What can you tell us?
Venturini has been racing the pits, going from his car down to Michael Self's car. We showed you the left front coming off. That one looked like it was the problem, but the real problem was actually the right front. They've got way too much weight on the front right of that number 20 car. And after surveying the damage on this particular tire in the pit area and then going down to the 25, Billy Venturini getting some notes. Obviously some wholesale changes made for the 20, who's challenging the 25 right now. But the team keeps telling Chandler, hey, you got to set him up. You got to make the pass. You can't just get to his quarter panel. We're going to run into tire problems again.
Chandler Smith trying to get to fourth right now, side by side with his teammate Michael Self. And here's another interesting aspect. Think about this. Normally, when the ARCA Menards series comes here, you have practice, you have qualifying, and then the race. Usually a lot more rubber on the racetrack than what we see here today.
Yeah, and it's crazy to know that these guys are out here really, and we've been at racetracks where it's line them up and go. This whole situation has a couple of people kind of scratching their head. How do we get experience? How do we get these young drivers developed? How do we get the car we want underneath these drivers? So that first 50 laps, ultimately, Bob, I want to say, was another practice session to prepare for the final 100 circuits.
I agree with you. The COVID-19 pandemic has definitely changed a lot of things in America, and certainly here with the ARCA Menards series as we figure out the schedule for the 2020 season. Jesse Love is the point leader of the ARCA Menards Series West with 2 wins to his credit, 2 second-place finishes as well. And the Bill McAnally team, the focus of our Bounty Rookie Spotlight with 3 rookies in the starting field here today. Jesse Love running in the top 10. Just outside the top 10 is Gio Selzy in 12th. And Gracie Trotter now has her lap back. She has moved up to 14.
Yeah, she was given the free pass at the end of the most recent caution as the first car lap down. Jesse Love continues to impress here. This number 19 team, they had experience last year. They have had Haley Deegan in their stuff in recent years. This is the chance for Jesse to get paired with a very established Bill McAnally Racing team who's now won 100 races as an organization in the ARCA Menards Series West. They are continuing to win races. Matter of fact, Jesse Love gave them that 100th race win earlier this year. This is the youngest group that Bill McAnally Racing has had, I think, in its existence, going back to even, Austin Cameron and those guys. I mean, we're talking Brendan Gaughan came through that team. They had experience. This is a brand new, raw group of folks that Toyota Racing Development has brought to Bill McAnally to run here. 5 different drivers throughout the year will race for this team.
How impressed were you with the driver of 17, Taylor Gray, at Lucas Oil Raceway when he finished in the top 5?
I was waiting for Taylor to show up and pass about 4 cars here in these final few moments before the end of segment 1. He is a machine. He is up on the wheel. He's running 6th right now. Looking forward to seeing how he does after this commercial break.
Caution is back out here in the Shore Lunch 150 for the ARCA Menards series. We were just talking about how good Jesse Love was into the top 10. He spun out to bring out this yellow flag. Had a great run. What was he saying on the radio?
Dropped it on his radio thanks to Racing Electronics. He said the car is just too free. I heard him say that in practice as well. Not enough security on entry. He said, I went in the corner and the car just got away on me. Way too free. He held it off the wall, but unfortunately brought out a 4th caution here.
He's carrying the General Tire onboard camera. We'll see if he comes to pit road and gets some changes to that race car. Too free is not a good thing if you're tackling Iowa Speedway for the first time.
Yeah, and even Haley Deegan told me after her practice run, she said, I'm never comfortable here at Iowa Speedway. I'm never comfortable at Lucas Oil Raceway, but those are some of my better racetracks. You just have to learn how to race this track, and if it feels a bit free, you have to get used to that feeling. That's something that Jesse Love's only had, about 45 laps or so prior to this caution to really kind of get a grip on.
Several drivers, including Jesse Love, on pit road. Howie DiSavino in the 32. We see the number 1 of Max McLaughlin and Thad Moffitt in the 46 as well. The hood up on the front end of that race car. They're making some wholesale changes to the chassis.
McLaughlin and DeSavino both actually came in under lap 31 caution. So you figure, why come to pit road? Well, why not? Try to get that car adjusted, try to get a better handle on it. Thad Moffitt told me that his car after practice was actually pretty decent. He thought maybe if I worked on the bottom, I know my car's good on top. Those compromises really happen here, but Thad obviously not happy with his car thus far. And he's now made another chassis change. He's in track position, and guess what? Drew Dollar's back out of the garage. He's back on the racetrack in the 15.
There is Thad Moffitt. Pretty windy today in Iowa. But Drew Dollar actually just pulling out back onto the racetrack. And Dollar, quite honestly, he needs every single point. And Basham is out in that 10 car. If he's able to run some laps here, he could possibly pick up some more points. And that is very, very important in the battle for the championship.
And ARCA has changed the point system this year. It used to be 5 points per position through the field. It really is boiled down to what the NASCAR National Series are doing. Drew Dollar was only 2 points ahead of Hailie Deegan, tied for second in the points heading into this race in the overall point standings.
We're about to go green, but just to talk about Drew Dollar for a second more, remember he said he had an engine go bad. Maybe it wasn't as bad as they thought it was.
Jesse Love actually in practice thought he had a motor issue, and actually turned out to be that electrical issue. So it's something they chased down, fired the engine. Why not be tireless? That's what Shannon Rush knows how to do. Keep working until you're told, turn the lights off and go home for 5 minutes. They figured something out. Kudos to that team to get him back on the racetrack.
Interesting development for Drew Dollar. Maybe going to be able to pick up a couple of positions and therefore a few points that will be very coveted in this battle for rookie honors as well as the championship. Going green this time by. 4 cautions already in this one. Hailie Deegan trying to keep pace with Ty Gibbs, who has set a torrid pace. Hailie Deegan drives it in hard to turn number 1. Almost gets right up in front of the 18 of Ty Gibbs, but Ty Gibbs battles back strong with that momentum on the outside.
Great run. Hailie's not done yet. She's in that number 4. You can see the teeth ready to chomp on the grill of that Ford Fusion for DGR Crosley Racing, trying to get inside. Now the Coy Gibbs on number 18 of his son, Ty.
Hailie Deegan having a great run. Texting with her earlier today. Here comes Sam Mayer to the inside. And she thought she had a pretty good race car. Mayer slides high. Was there contact there? Wow, the 4 got loose, trying to stay off the 21. But Hailie Deegan, her 19th birthday today. So happy birthday. I said, man, I know what would be a good present. She said, and how?
Battle for 4th here. They want to spoil the party. Blow out all the candles. Michael Self wants to decide it with Brett Holmes. Holmes has 65 races, 67 races now, looking for his first win. He'll do just about anything, including stomp on that birthday cake to get the win.
Did you see that? That wiggle from Michael Self? It has been consistent throughout the first 78 laps of this race. Every so often, that 25 car just gets all sorts of out of shape.
And this short track does have aerodynamic issues here. I mean, the speeds they're going, the speeds we're carrying here, at 25-second laps, I mean, we're talking about a lot of air moving around those cars. And these rear high spoilers that say Menards across the back of them, they push air. When you get to the quarter panel of a car, that affects the air on the car you're racing with. So that was obviously an evidence of really self-saving it as that air got sucked off the left rear quarter panel of his number 25 Sinclair Toyota.
There are a lot of racing fans, and Dale Jr. is honestly one of them, that would argue maybe that this racetrack is not a short track. 7/8 of a mile in length, and Hailie Deegan, trouble for the birthday girl. The birthday girl with smoke pouring out of the back end of her race car. Hailie Deegan in trouble here near the halfway point in this race, trying to hold on. Will a caution come out? You see, the rear end is askew.
It's walking, Bob. That means there's something broken in the rear end suspension. Actually, could be the Panhard bar, could be anything. She came off into turn 3. The car was smoking badly. She came off and went to the bottom of the racetrack, and that rear end is not tracking. So unfortunately for her team, something broke mechanically on the rear end of that number 4.
2 consecutive races, bad breaks for Hailie Deegan at Kentucky and now here at Iowa Speedway.
Still green, Bob. Hailie trying to get a caution by stopping on the racetrack, but you see that's going to be more than just a quick fix. Right rear tire down as well.
But as you said, something wrong in the rear suspension as well, because it's just wobbling, walking back left and right. But that right rear tire is down as well on the Monster Energy number 4 for Hailie Deegan. This is going to be a big hit in the championship chase for Hailie Deegan.
Right there in the thick of things, she had an accident at Kentucky after contact with Drew Dollar. This appears to be something mechanical that caused that tire to go down. ARCA rules are only tire changes allowed during the stage breaks, the race breaks, excuse me, and they're trying to get that car figured out. They get ARCA's approval, they can change tires if they're approved to do so. That tire being flat on the rim, I'm sure they can get that question, but more importantly, ARCA officials have already seen what we saw from up here in the judges' stand, if you will. That car was walking back and forth. It's not just a tire down, that's the issue in the front.
Chandler Smith has 5th. Taylor Gray wants that spot. Haley Deegan, what's going on, Dave?
Well, I can tell you there's a definitive smell down here of something that smells like a rear end fluid. Haley talked a little bit about that on the radio. They're going to take this car behind the wall. She knows that there's a problem with that race car. Not sure what came first. Not sure if anything particularly happened, but it does sound like a mechanical failure as they're taking this car behind the wall, and it is wobbling.
And it really doesn't matter because, quite honestly, it's just a bad day for Haley Deegan on her 19th birthday here at Iowa. Taylor Gray to the inside. We mentioned that he wanted 5th, trying to get it here from Chandler Smith. They go side by side, still a long way to go, but we are in the second half of the Shore Lunch 150 for the ARCA Menards series here at Iowa Speedway. Ty Gibbs continues to lead. Let's take a look at the Richmond Water Heaters mid-race recap. Ty Gibbs marched his way through the field, picking off positions one by one, finally going for the lead. Chandler Smith was on the general tire pole, but he gave it up with that pass right there by Ty Gibbs.
On a subsequent restart, Ty got the choice of running the outside or inside lane. He picked the outside. To his inside was Haley Deegan, who gave him a run for a bit, but Ty Gibbs has opened up the gap on Haley and the field.
Haley Deegan, trouble for the driver that sits top 5 in the point standings. Something broke in the rear suspension on that number 4. Still a long way to go in this one. Another race break coming around the lap 100 mark. We're about 8 laps shy of that mark right now.
Ty Gibbs a 2.9 second lead over Sam Mayer. They finished second and first in that ARCA Menards Series East race here last year at Iowa Speedway. They run 1 and 2 5 different times across the disciplines of ARCA. Ty Gibbs has the upper hand with race victories here already, running away with Pocono and Kentucky victories here in the ARCA Menards Series in 2020 as they battle for an East Championship within their race schedule, where they race a bunch of racetracks.
Ty Gibbs just simply impressive. 3 ARCA style wins this year. He also has a win in a late model stock car as well for the Joe Gibbs team. He's impressive here, and we expected this today, but you never know what can happen. We also expected Sam Mayer to be fast. He's fast once again in second. Will he finally break through and go to victory lane here today?
Mayer was close at Kentucky Speedway, led just 1 lap and was leading on a restart, was called for jumping that restart, rallied back to 4th, but that's been playing on Sam's mind for the last week or so as well.
So Mayer just behind him by about 10, 15 car lengths behind Sam Mayer sits the 23 of Brett Holmes. Holmes, we told you at the top of the show, looking for his first career victory in the ARCA Menards Series in that white and blue number 23. Came close at Kentucky last week, a second place run for him. He sits 3rd right now here in this race.
3 race experience here as well as helping Brett and his team. He's had 3 top 10 finishes in the 3 prior ARCA races here at Iowa Speedway. But as he's pacing his way through, he's certainly now starting to talk a lot to his crew chief, Shane Huffman. What can we do to get this car better? What do we do to keep pace with the 18? We know we have a 3rd place car. How do we get a car that can win this race?
Brett Holmes has the Sioux Chief onboard camera, and there's been a little bit of a gap building between all of these positions. Behind that 23 car of Brett Holmes is the point leader in 4th, Michael Self. Michael Self has won West races here, has not yet won an ARCA Menards Series event, and look at that. Melton goes around for the 2nd time in this race. Will this bring out a caution? I believe it is going to. Yes, there is the yellow flag flying again for the 5th time here in this 150-lap race. Just 3 laps shy of lap 100.
Now, the beautiful thing about the rule of at or near lap 100 is this very well could be our 2nd and final race break. Again, the teams are only allowed to add fuel or change tires under the race breaks. Only 4 crew members can go over the wall. It's a money-saving move. And again, post-pandemic, this is the best way to approach it, keeping the limited number of 9 people can travel per car number. And this will be, now we're being told, is going to be the scheduled break. So it's a break for Melton, who again could have gone 2 or 3 laps down. He'll get his spot back as the field is frozen once that caution comes out for the race break. No one can advance or lose a spot once the pits are open. And Bob, I think the pits are closed, and Michael Self came down pit road.
I was going to say, I just saw the 25 car get down pit road. Is there a problem? You see maybe the team taking a look at the ignition on this race car. A possible problem for the point leader, Michael Self, here at Iowa.
So we've had Drew Dollar, who is tied for second in points heading into this one, behind the pit wall for a number of laps, still back in 19th, 41 laps off the pace. Haley Deegan came in 4th in points. She has had an issue. She is off the racetrack, scored an 18th right now. Huge points implications here at Iowa Speedway, just 7 races into the schedule.
Interesting development. We saw Michael Self shoot on pit road with that 25. Knew it wasn't open at that time. It is now open, and therefore you see all the cars enter pit road. Once they all come to a stop, they will have an opportunity to change 4 tires, add fuel, make some adjustments. They can't change tires and fuel at the same time. Ty Gibbs, does anybody have anything for him here today? Sam Mayer thinks they might be making some changes to that 21. We'll see what happens in the final 50.
Sioux Chief Manufacturing has supplied.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Auto Park It. The future of parking is here. See it at autoparkit.com. Richmond Water Heaters, the water heater experts. Hers, forever good. And by Sioux Chief, America's manufacturer of plumbing, drainage, supply, and support products.
Welcome back to Iowa Speedway for the Short Lunch 150 for the ARCA Menards series. I am Bob Dillner. Alongside of me, Jim Trado. Dave Reef is down there. The interesting development we're watching, Dave Reef, is Michael Self, the point leader. What's going on?
Well, it's been one of those days for the championship point leader, fighting a loose condition, extremely loose all day long. His father, listening on the scanner channel, just talks about the frustration his son was experiencing. Then came the next issue. It's a wiring issue. The good news is the team was able to diagnose it right away and put things back together. But as far as Kevin Reed's concerned, he thinks that this team will line up on the tail of the lead lap, and hopefully they've made the right adjustments, including a right front adjustment that will give him just a little bit more bite he needs, and they expect that car to come to the front.
I hate to bring this up, but these are the situations that hurt Michael Self last year in his run for the championship, in which his teammate Christian Eckes beat him out for.
Yeah, 2 or 3 mechanical issues at the worst possible time really set Michael Self back, and in chase mode in the final run of last year, losing to Christian Eckes in the championship.
Ty Gibbs leading this one over Sam Mayer and Brett Holmes. 52 laps to go here at Iowa. Coming back to green with 50 to go in the Short Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway. Ty Gibbs chooses the outside line like he has so many times throughout these restarts today at Iowa for the ARCA Menards series. Sam Mayer leading, kind of falling back a little bit. Maybe playing a different restart game, trying to get a run on the inside. Can he do it? The 21 is side by side with Ty Gibbs. The best run we've seen from anybody challenging Ty Gibbs. Sam Mayer a little bit loose, coming up off the corner. Can he get to the front? Side by side, they go down the backstretch here at Iowa Speedway. That was a drag race into turn number 3. Ty Gibbs grabs the top spot. Was that Sam Mayer's only shot?
Well, Mayer certainly wanted to drive him higher, get him a little bit out of his comfort zone, but Gibbs is just so strong on that restart, pulling away to get the single file advantage. Contact there between the 22 of Swanson and the 17 of Gray.
Michael Self battling back as well. He had electrical issues on that 25. Came down pit road early before the race break. Dave Reef gave us that report. There's the number 1 of Max McLaughlin. McLaughlin currently running in 7th. but Self trying to pull by him. He does, and now battling with Taylor Gray in the 17.
Champion crew chief from a year ago, Kevin Reed, making the calls to the 25 of Self. They've got it fixed. They got to get their driver comfortable. Hey, this is what we have. We've done this. You do the rest. We've got 50 laps to push it here. Michael Self already working his way into the top 8 here, passing Taylor Gray, the 15-year-old who put a move on Michael early. Now it's Michael's turn to return the favor to the student, the 17, the 15-year-old Taylor Gray. In just a second, ARCA Menards Series start.
Chandler Smith rebounding from an ill-handling race car in the later stages of the first 50 laps of this race. He's back up to third. Brett Holmes right on his back bumper. The JBL Audio 20 starting to look like it did last year. Much better here at this stage of the game. McLaughlin, he's been fighting strong, as has Taylor Gray. Both of those drivers very young and learning a lot here in the ARCA Menards Series to help them propel up the rungs of the racing ladder here in NASCAR.
And to tell you how hot it is here, I mean, I saw Max McLaughlin rolling in after he got his tire sheet in practice. He was wringing wet. Taylor Gray's a big kid. This is a long duration of time. The number 20 driver, Chandler Smith, you think, okay, this kid's all set, he's fitness, he's condition. He asked for a bottle of water in the break to dump over himself. That's how hot he's getting behind the wheel of that number 20. It's a really warm condition here. To have that mindset and mentality, that's what I love about the ARCA Menards Series. A great development series for NASCAR's National Series because you get longer racing. You get to race at these cool racetracks. You get the ability to run hard laps and heavy race cars. Chandler Smith right now making that move to the inside and one spot ahead of Brett Holmes, who is right along board with Holmes and the Sioux Chief on board.
Holmes from Alabama to the inside of Chandler Smith. Battle for third. Brett Holmes has been very consistent so far this year, and that's why he sits in the top 3 in the point standings right now. A second at Kentucky 1 week ago, a third at Talladega a few weeks prior to that. 3 top 5 runs for Brett Holmes so far in 2020, and he takes that spot from Chandler Smith.
And look at the distance already. I mean, just getting that clean air, getting that fine line, getting that outside line, running in now as they pass Tim Richmond, who's back in action out of Illinois.
Oh, Gio Scelzi in that Bill McAnally car, stopped on the racetrack. Looks like he spun in the middle of the backstretch here at the fastest short track on the planet. And that will bring out the caution flag. Just stayed there just a little bit too long, did Gio Scelzi, the open wheel star, now trying his hand at the stock car wars.
Scelzi again in the championship ride of a year ago in the ARCA Menards Series West by driver Derek Kraus. Kraus now racing full-time as a NASCAR Gander Trucks rookie contender. Let's take one more look at this, Bob.
Here's the Auto Park It replay, and there you see Scelzi had already spun on the backstretch.
He was pretty far down the backstretch, actually, when the car spun. So a handful coming off of turn number 2, nearly to turn 3 here on the 7/8 mile is where he stopped on the apron.
And there you see Scelzi had already spun on the backstretch.
He was pretty far down the backstretch, actually, when the car spun. So a handful coming off of turn number 2, nearly to turn 3 here on the 7/8 mile is where he stopped on the apron.
Scelzi has a bright future in this sport. I've been watching him win a pro late model race at New Smyrna Speedway during the World Series of Asphalt Stock Car Racing. While the big boys were playing at Daytona in the NASCAR ranks, he was fine-tuning his skills in a stock car and a pro late model race.
Won a couple of World Outlaw races, and tonight, if all goes to plan, he's taking that 35-minute drive south here to race at Knoxville Raceway for Guy Forbrook in his Wing 410 sprint car. So Gio said, I'm going racing again tonight. And, man, he has talent. Great pick by Jack Irving and the folks at Toyota to say, let's see how we can go. Let's get him the right tools. Let's get him in that simulator. He said he's so thankful that he can get in to get some laps here at Iowa Speedway in what was an Xfinity setup. But Toyota Racing Development has available to their drivers a simulator that's got engineers and everything attached to it. So he learned some laps here. That was his only experience here at Iowa Speedway in a stock car before coming to the track itself. So Gio, certainly a driver getting every tool given to him available. It looks like he may even try to get a tire change through the ARCA's approval because of that long spin. He's on pit road, as is Howie DiSavino, rolling behind the pit wall for Kevin Zwinski's Wintron Racing Team number 32.
Michael Self currently being scored in the 6th spot. So despite what happened with him, it was kind of perfect timing for him. Haley Deegan back out on the racetrack too. What happened with her number 4, Dave?
while, Bob Dillner. It took a while to get that track bar, the piece that had broke off of the rear end where it attaches, to get that off. Just 2 bolts secured very, very tightly. It took a while, pieces and parts you're not used to changing at the moment right behind pit wall. But once they did, they were able to get that track bar attack to back up there. Haley, meanwhile, boy, what a day she was having. Listened in on her scanner channel a lot. Very confident all day long, a team that was encouraging her. She was marching forward. She had a great, great race car before that untimely break, but during that entire time, probably the better part of 10, 12 minutes here behind the wall, Haley sat in her car, didn't utter a word.
Haley Deegan, 20 laps down, being scored in 18th. A person that she is battling with for the Bounty Rookie, top rookie in the series, as well as the championship. Drew Dollar, 41 laps down, currently being scored 19th. So Deegan needed to get back out there. By the way, I am told the 19 of Jesse Love, the free pass car, will be back on the lead lap.
And his teammate Gio Selzy, who brought out that caution, was on pit road for adjustments. They wanted to get that tire change. He actually lost a lap on pit road in the process, trying to get things sorted out, if he was allowed to make that change or not, because it's outside the established rule of only tire changes during those race breaks.
The General Tire onboard camera for Jesse Love. I think he's been learning a lot during this race in the first attempt at Iowa Speedway.
I first met Jesse at Phoenix Raceway. Again, that was their first Sioux Chief Showdown race back on March 6th. That was the last race the series ran until we came back to racing after the pandemic. And I'm telling you, he was excited to be there, but I know he was very cautious. He'd never been on a track that big. And this is really their second biggest race for these teams, the Bill McAnally Racing team drivers. This is the second biggest race they've been to. The notebook very thick for both tracks on the Bill McAnally West Coast juggernaut. I call it that because they are very thick in knowledge. But these young drivers really making their way have a lot to learn. And it's great to know they're surrounded by such a deep, deep team coming to the ARCA Menards Series. We hope to see them give them a gateway at the end of August. They're going to make as many of these ARCA Menards Series Sioux Chief Showdown races as they can.
Coming to the green this time by, we'll be back to racing. 112 laps recorded so far. 150 is the distance here today. We are past the 2 race breaks. We have had 2 leaders in this race. Chandler Smith, who currently resides in 3rd, will line up in the 2nd row of this restart, led early. Ty Gibbs leads him back to the green. He's been dominating after taking the lead from Chandler Smith.
We have a restart line at a restart zone at ARCA, and Ty Gibbs had 2-car legs on Sam Mayer. Sam Mayer has pinched to Kentucky for jumping a restart. We don't know if that's been a call, but I'm just saying Ty got a really, really good jump on the field.
This battle here for 4th on back. A bunch of race cars right there. Brett Holmes in the 23, the 25 of Michael Self. That is a battle for 4th, and just behind that, Max McLaughlin, at the number 1. His dad was Mike. I watched him for years growing up in the Northeast, and he's just behind that with several other drivers, including the 22 of Cody Swanson. Brett Holmes able to pick up the spot. Holmes almost always falls back on the restart and then starts to charge hard once we get into green flag racing.
We saw him take a different line 1 lap ago. The arc into turn 1 has been the challenge for some of these drivers that don't have a lot of experience here. Brett Holmes actually arced late to try to keep the air off of Michael Self, and it worked for him to get position for this spot. It happened a lap and a half ago to get position on Michael Self. It takes that long sometimes for it to develop, but that move to the inside was a good one to get Holmes that position. He's up to 4th.
Haley Deegan back on pit road. The main purpose for this team, I think, right now, with her being 20 or 21 laps down, is to make sure that she stays ahead of Drew Dollar, because every position counts in the championship standings. Jesse Love in the 19 has been on pit road for several laps over the course of the last 5. So Jesse Love, that Bill McAnally driver, having trouble late in the going here. Just 34, now 33 laps to go.
Michael Self running in the 5th position. We talked about racing that car off the racetrack. Dave Reef, you got something on Michael Self, our point leader. He's had a heck of a day so far.
Oh, he has had a heck of a day, and he's doing a heck of a job, because on the pit box is Kevin Reed, the duo that won the Daytona 200 earlier this year. But this is a very frustrated crew chief. I've spent a lot of time watching him talk to different members of his team, talking about some very animated, like throw the kitchen sink type changes they've made to this car, dropping track cars 3, 4, 5 inches, 6, 7 rounds of wet, just trying to get Michael Self some forward bite. That ignition issue is still prevalent in the race car. But right before they went green, Kevin Reed just kind of confidently got on the microphone and told his driver, just give it hell, get everything you can get. We'll worry about the rest.
Another driver that's charging hard, Dave, is that 23 of Brett Holmes, now pulling up to the back bumper of the JBL Audio 20 for Chandler Smith. If Brett Holmes could ever get a good restart, he might challenge for this victory here today.
It's a matter of getting that confidence. He's gaining that. Now he's got a game position on Chandler Smith, the driver that he knows he has to beat on these type tracks. Chandler Smith he's just turned 18. He had been too young to race on all the speedways. He has a limited schedule here, and he races for Cowbush Motorsports in the NASCAR Ganders Truck Series. Last weekend at Kentucky Speedway, ARCA raced one day, the next was the trucks. Chandler said he learned a ton about air and speed, and he's hoping this ARCA racing he has yet on his schedule will help prepare him for a full-time run next year in the NASCAR Gander Truck Series.
You know, the funny thing is, as Brett Holmes goes to the inside of Chandler Smith for position for third here at Iowa Speedway, Holmes was one of the young guns for a long time. And now at 23 years old, with all these teenagers in here, he's one of the more seasoned racers, if you will, on the latter stages, the latter half of the young gun term.
But they know those 5 team members that work their guts out are certainly something to race for. They have a business in Alabama. Got a driver that's trying to graduate from Auburn eventually with building sciences as a major. He's still a senior. Got a couple more credits to take there. Works in the family business every day. They really leave it up to Shane Huffman and that team to fit that car on the racetrack. And they've done a great job this year. Last year they brought a brand new piece and had an oil line failure. They took the car into the wall in practice. They were disappointed then. They knew they could find speed, and they found it here again today, 1 year later at Iowa Speedway.
A great look from the Sioux Chief onboard camera right there of how dancy the back end of the 20 for Chandler Smith is. And Brett Holmes is trying to take full advantage of that, push the air a little bit up on the left rear quarter and maybe get by him. Wow, what a battle there for third. We'll ride to the finish when we come back here to Iowa Speedway with a short lunch 150. Under 20 laps to go for that driver, the 18 of Ty Gibbs, trying to win for the third time on the ARCA Menards Series season. This is the Shore Lunch 150. Sam Mayer is second. Brett Holmes and Chandler Smith waged war. This is the Auto Park It replay for the battle for third, and Brett Holmes finally got it.
Well, it took a long time for Brett to get to that inside quarter. Actually, he got to the rear bumper of Chandler Smith, never touched him. Then he got to the rear wheel of Chandler, never touched him, and finally made the pass. Taking the air, just like Taylor Gray's learning how to do here. Michael Self. Taylor almost lost it there, washing up in number 17. Great save by that teenager in that blue and white 17 Ford.
I love the tenacity of Taylor Gray. What I saw at Lucas Oil Raceway and what I'm seeing here today, he is a hard charger. 15 years old, doesn't know much better, quite honestly. Already has a win to his credit in the cars, late model stock car wars this year. And now only his second ARCA Menards Series start. And he's coming close now. He's just now up into the top 5. He could grab his second straight top 5 finish in ARCA.
And in the bigger picture of what happened already today, Michael Self has lost a point. He lost a position to Taylor Gray, who's a part-time driver. We've had a tie in the championship in the ARCA Menards Series. 2009 came down to 5 points. Justin Laughlin beating Parker Kligerman for the championship. That's 1 position on the racetrack. Michael Self's doing everything he can to not lose another point here at the number 1 of McLaughlin in the overall racing points available here today.
Ty Gibbs, McFarland, his crew chief. How good is Ty Gibbs? Take a look. 4 wins in his last 10 starts, and he's been ultra consistent as well.
And it really what impresses me is the most laps led in 5 of his last 7 races make it the 6 of the last 8, because he is putting on a clinic here. That's his crew chief, Mark McFarland, now making sure, clicking off. And what we heard on the radio from his spotter, Hal Martin, pretty easy day for Hal. Hey, we've got 20 laps to go. We're down to 15 to go. That's all Hal's telling his driver. Just telling him, take it easy. And 10 to go. Counting down the laps. In 5, we're 15 to go to the finish here. Ty Gibbs has no sign of slowing down.
And you can barely see in his rearview mirror Sam Mayer in second. That gap stands at 1.7 seconds from the 18 to the 21 around the 7/8 of a mile speedway. Behind Sam Mayer, 4 seconds behind Sam Mayer, is Brett Holmes in third. So unless we honestly get a caution here late in the race, and that could happen, I believe the only person that could catch possibly Gibbs, and that might be difficult, honestly, is Sam Mayer in second. The Sioux Chief onboard camera for Brett Holmes. Oh, man, I know the tenacity, the emotion behind this driver. I've known him for a long time. From the dirt late model ranks to the pro late model, super late model wars around Montgomery Motor Speedway and Five Flags Speedway, and now here to ARCA. He only likes to win. So does Shane Huffman, his crew chief. And remember, Shane Huffman has won a bunch of races in the old Pro Cup Series and late models, all sorts of stuff, as a driver as well. Chandler Smith, running in fourth right now, is not going to be happy with this.
No, Chandler's not happy unless he wins.
Right.
And he was mad at Pocono. He finished second to Ty Gibbs. He's like, man, we got kicked that day. Well, guess what? We're in for another Ty Gibbs show here at Iowa Speedway. Chandler's not giving up by any means. He is here to perform. He's here to learn. And he talked about how the difference is after Kentucky Speedway. He had a very distinct way to say, I like to drive my ARCA car edgy. We've seen that almost on the edge, like too loose on the edge, all race long. He said he can't drive his truck that way. That maybe knocked his confidence down a little bit after that 22nd place finish in the trucks in Kentucky last weekend.
You want to talk about on the edge. Taylor Gray has driven this number 17 Ford on the edge in his only 2 starts in the ARCA Menards series. I'm just flat out impressed with this 15-year-old kid.
Running fifth, Blake Bainbridge has also had a lot of experience with younger drivers and older drivers. I remember him with crew chief in the Xfinity series and working through different models. He said, Taylor's just got talent. It's just a matter of finding what that driver needs. We need to give him a car he can last with because he's so good at finding speed. It's almost innate, he said. Just where he wants to run the car is where it feels best, and he finds it on the line. Like a dirt racer looking for a racing line, Taylor has that ability to do that on the pavement.
We just saw Michael Self running in 6th, just behind him. The best battle on the racetrack, quite honestly, between Max McLaughlin and Cody Swanson. Swanson, the 5-time USAC Silver Crown champion and 3-time Little 500 winner. That's impressive in its own right. Is in the top 10 here. And he's trying ARCA in the Stock Car Wars for the first time ever.
He's had access to Chase Briscoe, who won here with Chad Bryant as his crew chief back in the day in the Iowa Speedway ARCA days before he went on to win the 2016 championship. He's talked to Chase Briscoe. He's talked to Ty Majeski, who won 3 times in 6 tries last year for this team. But when it came down to racing here at this racetrack, they surrounded him with a lot of deep talent, including his spotter. 2014 ARCA Menards Series champion Mason Mitchell has been from this area. He moved to Charlotte to race and win a championship as an owner driver. That young man is now back here in Des Moines area. He was hired this morning to spot for the number 22 of Cody Swanson. So Mason Mitchell, a winner here at Iowa, a hometown driver and a champion in the ARCA Menards Series, is helping Cody Swanson adjust to these stock cars in his very first start and hopefully walking out of here with a great top 10 finish.
The Bounty Rookie Spotlight was on 3 drivers. The 99 of Gracie Trotter was the last one on the list when we showed her in terms of the Bill McAnally Racing. Now, she is actually the top driver from Bill McAnally Racing, looking for her first career ARCA Menards Series top 10 finish in only her 2nd start. The driver of the 99, very similar in the West Series this year to the way Haley Deegan started her career. Very similar results. So Gracie Trotter learning a lot behind the wheel of that 99.
And actually, she did a lot of her time. Haley Deegan did in the NASCAR West Series, now the ARCA Menards Series West with Bill McAnally Racing. Racing with that team up through last year. Given the chance in the ARCA Menards Series, adventuring in motorsports and racing some East races with G.J. Crosley, did Haley Deegan. Gracie's getting a chance to run a late model stock with the Bill McAnally team later on, and Rev Racing, so she's getting a lot of experience in different ways. But it's a whole new ball game, she said, at Phoenix when her first ARCA Menards Series race, way bigger track. Really took a long time to learn, and unfortunately her race was cut short due to a motor issue just 60 laps in on that 1 mile in Arizona.
Rounding out the top 10 here with under 5 to go is Moffitt. Thad is having another good run, consistent for him, the grandson of Richard Petty.
Richard Petty Performance Plus Motor Oil. Thad said he's got some more sponsorship. He's going to run up to 15 ARCA Menards Series races this year. Great run out of Thad, who told me just as he crossed the line, let's see what he can do here. If he can pick things up. Thad said the car was a bit tight in practice. That's what they're working on. He and his DGR Crosley team have really done a nice job.
Hold on. The gap is closing as Sam Mayer hits the wall. Sam Mayer pushing it hard here, was closing the gap On the 18 of Ty Gibbs, it was under a second, and just as we went to it, he's pushing it so hard, he pushed it right into the wall.
Smelt it, felt it, knew he had a chance at Ty Gibbs. Got into turn number 3 for all it was worth and put it right on the line, and he crossed that line, that fine edge of the high line, and the dirty air, the dirty ground, the foot off the wall where they haven't run all day, sucks Sam Mayer into the fence, and we see the white flag for Ty Gibbs.
That might be all she wrote for Sam Mayer. What a bad break. So close to another victory, another chance at a victory.
Great closing the gap by Sam Mayer. Ty Gibbs was not taking it easy. He was riding, he was racing hard, and Sam Mayer made up all that distance, only to have that turn 3 scruff squash his chance.
Ty Gibbs looking good in the ARCA Menards series. He wins his 3rd race in 4 races. That 18 is standing tall as the Joe Gibbs Racing Team celebrates here at Iowa.
Anything you put at this kid, he overcomes it. He said, we've had issues. If I've done a mistake, it's a team win, a team loss. He is able to compensate, I'd say, Bob, with his ability to focus on what's next. The next race is the most important thing to this kid, and he's performing.
Incredible performance today. We'll hear from Ty Gibbs when we come back to Iowa Speedway. The gloves have been dropped. The 18 of Ty Gibbs, just 17 years old, wins another race in the ARCA Menards series, this time in the Shore Lunch 150 here at Iowa Speedway. He has climbed out of the race car, excited, waved to the fans with his limited capacity crowd here at Iowa. To Dave Reef.
And he has tucked away another checker flag inside of that 18. What a season you have put together. I asked you, was that about one of the most boring butt whoopings you've ever threw on anybody? You said he had drama at one time.
Yeah, coming in about 3 to go there, I got really loose in 3 and 4. I don't know, it just kind of got loose there, and Sam caught me. That was a good race, had a fun time. It's always fun racing Sam like that. I always like to race him. He's a good driver, and he got a lot of respect for him too. So it's been a fun time racing, man. I can't believe I won in Iowa. You know, I came here last year, not really know what I was doing because I was 16 and a little bit crazy. Now I matured a little bit and come back here and won. So I just can't thank all the fans. All the fans are here. That's amazing. So heck yeah. So it's just amazing seeing people back at the track and you know, all the support, Monster, Terrible Herb Soda, everybody. So
hey, I get your Twitter humor.
Huh?
You said you were coming. I get your Twitter humor. You were coming here to see corn. Look what you're standing on.
I know.
It's all about corn, baby.
I know. Yeah, sorry everybody. I wasn't trying to be mean there. I was trying to joke around, but can't thank everybody enough. This is a fun time. Can't thank my family, Monster, especially Mitch Covington, Toyota, Dave, Jack, Hervey, and everybody over there, Tyler. So it's just been a good deal here. Can't thank my team, Mark, everybody that does this job. So can't thank my spotter, Hal, for talking me through it up there. Hal's like my therapist.
Thank you, man. You see him. Team waiting to see you in victory lane.
Thank
Today,
you guys
Ty
so
Gibbs.
much.
And there's the corn at the start-finish line. That's what Dave and Ty were talking about today in the land of the corn. Ty Gibbs is victorious. And an impressive run for the kid who just dominated this race. By the way, I love how he's got that thing now where he drops the gloves after getting out of the race car. He did it at Pocono, did it again here today at Iowa. Sam Mayer comes up short again, a bridesmaid again for the 3rd time in his ARCA career.
And for the 6th time, we've had a Gibbs-Mayer 1-2, and Ty's got an upper hand on victories between those 2 teenagers that have been put on the show here in the ARCA Menards series in the Sioux Chief Showdown this year.
Taylor Gray, 2nd race for him in the ARCA Menards series, 2nd straight top 5 run. That is impressive. Michael Self, the point leader, winds up 6th.
Max McLaughlin, a nice top 10 again. He's 2nd race, 2nd top 10 for him. We'll have to see him some more here in this series.
There's all the corn that we're talking about adjacent to this racetrack. Beautiful scenery around Iowa Speedway. We still got a lot more to go, a lot more finishers to talk to here today at Iowa Speedway for ARCA.
The ARCA Menards series is brought to you by Geico, saving people money on more than just car insurance. Shore Lunch, great flavor is never far away. And by Lucas Oil, keep that engine alive.
The 7th race of the ARCA Menards series season and the 3rd round of the Sioux Chief Showdown is now complete. Ty Gibbs, your victor at Iowa Speedway in the Shore Lunch 150. A fun celebration for Ty Gibbs. And as I look at the top 10, we didn't get to mention this, but Gracie Trotter, the young lady racer in the 99, finished in the top 10. An impressive run for her. Didn't have the best car, didn't have the speed, but hung in there for a top 10 finish today. That's impressive.
I love her perseverance because they had an ignition issue. She thought maybe the motor was going sour in practice. Her radio had 3 people talking on it. None of them were teammates in practice. So trying to work through that. And I talked to Bon Suss, who's been brought in to help out Bill Mackinnon and the young Toyota drivers. His experience and his just wisdom of just calming things and knowing what these drivers may be wanting to ask, but don't really know how to ask it. He was there talking her through that. Okay, what can we do to help it? We know what happened. I heard the same thing. Work through that with us. So that's a great way to have Gracie get comfortable enough to say, I can still run top 10 in one of these races, and she did today.
And as we look at Ty Gibbs and Victor Lane, you mentioned Bon Suss, who used to be with KBM, actually was with Gracie Trotter in her late model days as well. So Toyota brought Bon Suss in. Sam Mayer comes up just a little bit short again, Dave Reef.
And the body language that Sam Mayer had shows a little bit of disappointment there. You had a good opportunity, one nice solid run that ended up just kind of touching the wall a little bit. Was that the one and only shot you had at catching that 18?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely faster at the end. I don't know if he had a tire going down or not. I'll have to ask him, but we were hauling butt at the end. I mean, our late run car was actually really good. I didn't think it was going to be that way, but I'm proud of our team at GMS, and thanks for QPS deployment for coming on the car this weekend. I had a lot of fun. I'm just tired of getting second, third, fourth, fifth, you name it. I have it this season. It just seems like it's been forever since a win. So hopefully we can get that next time we race.
Go back and take me through the 150 laps. What's the one thing you want back?
Yeah, we struggled throughout the race, to be honest. We were just battling a loose condition. I mean, everyone was, but I think we were just a little bit worse. Deegan was fast. We really couldn't get by her until she blew up. But I mean, like I said, we have a great team behind me, and we definitely made the right adjustments going through the race, and we were right there at the end. We know how to finish races, we just don't know how to finish better.
Hey, another solid second. Hold your head up, that win's coming. That's Sam Mayer.
Sam Mayer so close, 11th top 5 in 15 ARCA races. Here is the Lucas Oil Race recap of the Shore Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway. Chandler Smith, the defending race winner, led early. Ty Gibbs took the lead and then had to hold off Haley Deegan for a while.
And when we had longer green flag runs, that's when Ty shined the brightest, moving away. And then as Sam Mayer caught up at the very end, still had enough to go on to victory lane.
Love the mask, too, in victory lane. Brett Holmes, third place run for that driver. Another consistent run, Dave.
How many times are we going to say this? Another solid, consistent day. Find the perspective.
Don't say the same thing, please.
Take me through your day.
It was, man, we were really good. We struggled on restarts. We restarted on the bottom every time. The bottom was really hard. It's a slick track. It's fun to race on. We were all really loose and finding our cars, you know. Just we spent way too much time on restarts getting where we should have been. And, you know, my team has just been on a roll lately, working overtime and just really working their tails off to get me to this point. And, you know, we're making up a lot of points. We got solid, consistent finishes. You know, I know we keep saying the same thing, but we're going to get it soon. And we're doing too good not to.
And you got to feel like it's going to come. We talked a lot about how the whole landscape has changed so dramatically in this COVID environment. It's changed the way you're going to school. It's changed the way this team works. But what hasn't changed are the outcomes that you've been coming up with.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't changed our mindset at all. We've just been staying in a one-lane mind focus and just doing our thing and focused on one goal, and that's winning races. You know, we're not getting into all this other stuff that's going on, and, you know, it's a crazy world we live in right now. But, you know, we're going to keep fighting and keep pushing and keep fighting for them wins, man. We're really close. I know it, you know, I feel like I finished second and third a million times already, but we're getting there.
Hey, there's plenty of individual battles, and yes, you want to win one of those, but there's this big thing called a war. When we talked in Daytona, it was maybe a partial schedule. It's starting to look more like a, hey, let's take this thing to distance kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, just knowing that you got a shot at winning the ARCA championship, it just means a lot to me. And, you know, it'd be huge for me. I mean, I know ARCA isn't, you know, big in the NASCAR perspective to things, but where I'm from, it's just, it's a big deal. And, you know, we want it really bad. We've been doing this for a few years now, and, we wouldn't keep doing it if we weren't fighting for that championship. And I'm just thankful I get to race in the series. These tracks, it's something that a lot of people don't get to do, and I'm really thankful for that. But we're keeping our head down, and we're gonna win some.
Crazy summer schedule before he heads back to school with the plans to graduate when?
December. Hopefully, I think December, yeah.
I don't know what's going to come first, that
yeah.
graduation or the win. Perhaps both will come this year.
Well, hopefully that win. That's going to come first for sure.
Brett Holmes goes to Auburn University. Ty Gibbs took everybody to school today at Iowa Speedway for another victory. A little selfie in victory lane there. That team is a tight-knit team.
In reality, every other team is playing off of them. Even on pit stops, Mark McFarland has everybody else where they want them. They actually changed left side tires. They added fuel. Then they changed right side tires. Other teams are just looking at them like, what are they doing different? What are we doing? What can we do the same? It's almost like the Smokey Yunick idea of having a little bit different, putting tape here instead of there. Everybody wants to do it because that's the fast guy. They want to beat the fast guy. Right now, this is the fastest driver in the ARCA Menards series, and they're having their way. When Ty Gibbs gets a lead and nothing mechanically goes wrong, he's pretty much been unstoppable in 2020 here in this series in limited starts.
We enjoy covering the ARCA Menards series here on MAV TV, the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, ASCS, Pro Pulling League, and a whole lot more. Never miss a race on the Motorsports Network. Go to mavtv.com/set reminder and receive a calendar reminder just minutes before each and every airing.
And just this week, the ARCA Menards series made an announcement. We get to play twice at Toledo Speedway. 2 nights back-to-back at Toledo Speedway, the half mile on the Michigan border.
Bullring.
July 31, August 1, back-to-back point shows in the Sioux Chiefs Showdown here on MAV. I'm excited for that.
And we'll also be doing a race at Daytona on a road course. That's going to be a lot of fun as well for all these drivers in the ARCA Menards series.
So the schedules keep changing. Go to arcaracing.com. Certainly go to MAV TV and lucasoilracing.tv to find out where you can find that content. Find these stars that continue to shine so brightly here in the ARCA Menards series.
Newton, Iowa is a beautiful place filled with cornfields all around this racetrack. But the fastest short track on the planet always provides with plenty of drama for the ARCA Menards series.
The great thing is we saw 2- and 3-wide racing. We saw restarts. We saw closing the gaps. We saw some spacing. We saw some drivers come to the fore. Jesse Love looked great for a while. Gio Scelzi, man, that kid's got a bright future. He's going to be racing in this series for a few more years, I believe, before he gets a chance maybe to race even on Sundays.
Jim, this was a lot of fun, but Ty Gibbs continues to be big.
Gibbs is good. All comers were trying to get at him. They had a couple of cracks at it. 6 cautions today. Nobody could touch him at the end.
For Dave Reef, Jim Trado, and everybody at MAV TV and Lucas Oil Production Studios, I'm Bob Dillner saying thank you so much for watching. And we are watching history in the ARCA Menards series as Ty Gibbs dominates here in 2020 with another big win.